This is an extract from the Leader podcast by the Evening Standard, hosted by me, David Marsland. To hear the whole thing, search for us on your podcast provider. When Hillary Clinton led the Democratic National Convention in 2016, she shattered the glass on a massive screen as a huge audience erupted with cheers. These things are supposed to be about spectacle, televised to millions, designed to inspire. There's none of that this year. Coronavirus has forced the Democrats to hold a virtual convention with videos streamed over the web. The worry was that it would be difficult to get through to audiences, but Michelle Obama, sitting alone in a room staring straight at a camera, seems to have done that for many.
It's a hard time, and everyone's feeling it in different ways. And I know a lot of folks are reluctant to tune into a political convention right now, or to politics in general. Believe me, I get that. But I am here tonight because I love this country with all my heart. And it pains me to see so many people hurting.
The former First Lady's been the top trend on social media all day since that video was released. Analysts for some media outlets say she stole the show, but can Team Biden keep up the momentum? Our comment editor Susannah Butter has written for the Evening Standard about the strategies used by both sides in this bitter war for the White House. She's with me now, and Susannah, there were concerns among Democrats that the convention wouldn't hit with audiences this time around. But Michelle Obama seems to have struck some kind of a chord with Biden's supporters.
Absolutely. I mean, the challenge is an election's never been fought like this before, and you need that charisma, that connection on social media and the YouTube presence and the presence on video links. And Biden, up until quite recently, just didn't have the money for all of that. That looks like it's changed around now, partly because they have this historic new fundraising, but partly the Michelle Obama video, which was Michelle Obama doing what she does best, which is this eloquent, perfectly paced, personal, emotional, honest dismantling of Trump. And I mean, it wasn't malicious. It just came straight from the heart. She's got this way that I think a lot of people have spoken about. Anyone who's met her, there's people at Elizabeth Garrett Anderson School in London who've met her, spoke about just how her genuine interest shines through. And that is a huge asset, especially when you're faced with someone like Trump, who, I mean, clearly was rattled because he tried to respond to her with a tweet and it was hollow. It sort of almost drove home her point. It proved that you can't fake it to be president. Or you can for 4 years, but hopefully you can't to win an election.
Interesting that she came out at all, though, because up until now, Michelle Obama hasn't really done much politically. She's been supporting causes, she's appeared, but this time she's gone out, she's mentioned Trump by name. It's a direct, though subtle, attack on her from a woman who had kind of shied away from making political points. I wonder how she could be being used by Biden as part of their strategy to get into the White House.
I think it's very clever from both of them. I mean, there were those who hoped that she'd be the vice president candidate, and she said repeatedly she's not interested in that. She's interested in doing it other ways, and sort of by not being directly involved, I think her and Barack sort of become like America's parents. And you can see there's no agenda, there's no career move plan other than to do what's best for the country and help thousands of people who she genuinely cares about. And the way to do that, I think she feels it's time for her to speak. The way to do that is to get Trump out. I mean, everything about it was perfect, particularly her vote necklace, which I quite want one of those. The gold necklace with VOTE letters hanging down. I mean, to the extent that I almost slightly feel for Kamala Harris, because people have been sort of looking at her in light of Michelle on everything from her rhetoric to kind of frivolously, but importantly, her style as well. People have been saying she needs Michelle Obama style, which is a different argument. But it's almost like they've been driven to this because the economy is such a shambles. The way that Trump's downplayed the virus means that they can't not speak out. I mean, if you look at Barack as well, he's tweeted sort of 3 times the amount that he usually does. He clearly cares. He wants to do something. And Biden knows this. and he's using it because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, interesting. Barack Obama was tweeting out his summer playlist, which doesn't look political, but then you look at it and it's highlights of what's about to come in the DNC. And of course, it's getting people engaged because he's always been smart with social media that way, isn't it?
It's all political. It's stealth politics. It was another mark of their success that Stephen Colbert on The Late Show, who usually doesn't discriminate on who he mocks, he couldn't make a joke out of Michelle Obama. He just was so impressed, had to take it so seriously.
Something else was interesting at the convention was Bernie Sanders did a video as well. He and Biden had a bit of a tussle as they were fighting to be the candidate for the White House, but he's very much come out and tried to get his supporters to get behind Joe Biden. The question has been, how left will Biden go in this campaign, isn't it? And is that being answered at all, Susie?
Yeah, that's a fine line to tread, isn't it? Because there's those far left people who think Biden's really right wing, and I think Trump knows that. Trump's bringing up some of those points. There's the African American vote is really important, and I think Jared Kushner is trying to sell Trump as the unbelievably as the candidate with the best record on race, and also the suburbs question. The Americans really value that, and because Biden's been in politics for such a long time, which is an advantage in many ways, it means that any weaknesses within all of that, Trump's going to call him out on, and which could end up getting some of the right and the left support that Biden so desperately needs. So, I mean, and also there's quite a long way to go. So even though Biden's had this huge surge forward boosted by Kamala, every endorsement counts, and that's why the Michelle Obama thing was so huge. And as you say, it's brilliant that Bernie Sanders has come on board. Hopefully he can get the Strokes to play a song. But
one thing that Joe Biden is trying to play as a strength but could work against him are these connections to the Obama administration, are that he was vice president there, and he has members of the team that was with him at the White House with him again, doesn't he?
Yeah, he inspires loyalty, and lots of his advisors on everything, particularly policy, worked with Obama, and so they know what they're doing. They've got unfinished business. They've got a track record. I mean, I suppose he must want to be careful so it's not just Obama 2.0. But a lot of those people will still be around, and then the risk is that the people who didn't like Obama, who thought he was too far right or failed on various things, might be put off by that. So I think up until now he's sort of underplayed that a little bit.
So we can imagine that although she isn't going to be vice president, Kamala Harris would get that position if Joe Biden wins. We can probably expect Michelle Obama to appear at the White House at some point over the next 4 years after this election, couldn't we?
I hope so. I hope she won't be able to keep away. I spoke to one of her aides for a piece, and they very much said that while she's not a career politician, she very much wants to make a difference, and working with Joe Biden and Kamala is a way to do that, is a way to further those causes. And she's pragmatic, and if that's the way to change the world, then they'll do that. But at the same time, I think brand Obama does have this value now in being one step removed